Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at day 22 of our 31 Perfect Albums. We are having a hell of a time bringing this series to you. I hope that comes across in the videos that we're doing and the fun that we're having with one another. Um, this is just, for me, I'm having a great time. Anyways, I am back with my illustrious co-hosts. We have Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Good. I'm ready to rock and roll, Armando. How y'all doing?
Doing fine, doing fine. I'm at a second cup of coffee, ready to go. We have Ken Cheshire. How you doing, Ken?
Doing good. Thank you. Hope you are too.
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. And the one and only Jim Bricker.
Hello, Armando. How are you?
I'm doing well. That was a hell of a greeting. Hello. I'm like, okay.
Hello.
Because your voice go any lower. I mean,
No.
okay, okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, again, the premise of this series is to present to you and to one another our 31 perfect albums. Again, from top to bottom, track 1 to track 10 or 11 or 12, these days, track 15. Um, all killer tracks, no filler material. Every track on these albums, in our opinion, is perfection. So, as again is customary with these episodes, and as I see people on my screen here, I will pass the virtual mic down to Mr. Bill Schuster for his choice for day 22.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'm going to stay in 1989 for my next choice here. I think it's a pretty strong year overall, which kind of surprised me in hindsight. That wouldn't have been a year I expected to stand out. All right. This is another female artist to follow up my Indigo Girls pick from yesterday. But this one is a commercial juggernaut. This was the second commercial juggernaut by this artist. And in fact, I made a comment yesterday about Michael Jackson's Thriller having 7 singles out of 9 songs. Well, his sister's second breakout album had 7 singles, if I recall correctly. It's Janet Jackson with Rhythm Nation 1814. This is her second album with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis producing, co-writing, playing. Control was massive. It spawned many hit singles. This is her taking that formula and going into new territory with it, adding more of a social conscience to some of the lyrics very deliberately. But you get right down to it, this is just state of the art 1989 pop rock dance music. It's brilliantly done. It's got 12 songs plus 8 interludes, as they're called. The hits, I think most people who were alive at that time know: Rhythm Nation, Miss You Much, Love Will Never Do Without You, All Right, Escapade, Black Cat, Come Back to Me. I mean, these songs were all over popular radio in 89 and 90. And I think it's held up really well. This is the kind of thing I was getting into at the time. I was exploring new territories for me. At the same time I was getting into this, I was also getting into weird stuff like the Pixies, and so getting out of my classic rock, hard rock bubble that I had been in for a few years, more or less. Uh, yeah, I think this album absolutely was kind of the best of its kind, and I think it still is. It's and yeah, were there too many singles, as Armando discussed yesterday regarding George Michael? Maybe so, maybe not. But I enjoyed hearing them all on the radio, and I still bought the album anyway. So I used to have it on cassette also. So now I bought it twice, and I'm looking for a vinyl copy. So I guess too many singles didn't hurt me wanting to own the album, because it actually is an album experience. The way it's deliberately uh, sequenced, like it starts off with along with the interludes, you have Rhythm Nation, State of the World, and The Knowledge, which are some of the more political, socially conscious lyrics. and then that brief interlude of Let's Dance, which is 3 second song where she says, get the message? Good. Let's dance. And then it immediately goes into Miss You Much, which is obviously not at all a political or social conscious lyric. It's let's party. Let's
Mhm.
Yep.
So yeah, this was a very well designed and sequenced album. Rhythm Nation 1814, Janet
Very
Jackson.
good.
I had that
Yeah.
on vinyl.
Uh-oh, now I know where to rob it.
There you go.
You want to come to Edmonton?
And Escapade is still my favorite Janet Jackson song. I just
Nice.
love that song so much.
Yeah.
It's
And
very upbeat and happy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
yeah. And yeah, I mentioned Shep Pettibone in yesterday's episode. He does a fantastic house mix of what was called house mix. House mix was basically a dance mix of the track. Give me a bloody break, but they had to label it right when they released these maxi singles. He did an amazing remix of a dance mix of both Escapade and All Right. Ass Shaker to the very end. Sorry. Good choice. Good
It
choice.
wouldn't be an episode if there weren't an ass shaking going on.
That's right.
There you go. There you go. Um, okay, smart ass. All right. Okay, over to
I
Ken.
speak
Smartass
facts.
shaker.
Come on, come on.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Ken, over to you.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead to August 1986. This is one of my favorite trio bands, at least in their initial lineup. And we're going to go to New Zealand. This album peaked at number 12 in the US. 11 tracks and 5 singles off of this one, too. And that is the debut and self-titled Crowded House. I just automatically bought this without hearing anything on it. 2 of the 3 members had just finished with the New Zealand band Split Ends, which I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
The band disbanded, and Neil Finn went on to create Crowded House. Excellent singles, Mean to Me, The World Where You Live, Now We're Getting Somewhere, Something So Strong, and of course the massive hit Don't Dream It's Over. I think Neil Finn is just so incredibly talented songwriter and arranger. And if you look across both the Split Ends catalog, the Crowded House catalog, and especially his solo albums, he's very diverse in sound and song style forms. And just absolutely unbelievable. I don't remember if this is necessarily their biggest selling album, but
I think it would
it
be.
might be it might be tied with Woodface maybe. But
Maybe.
yeah, they made about 5 or 6 albums, and they disbanded for a while, and now they're active again, adding Neil Finn's sons to the album, and is enjoying great success. They're on tour now with their new album they released a couple of weeks ago. The pride of New Zealand and Australia, I tell you. Produced by Michael Frome, who is, for a lot of people, is not a recognizable name, but he produced, Indigo Girls, and like Bill had a couple of days ago, and many other artists. You'd recognize the albums, or at least the artists' names, when you look them up. So, but anyway, it's just a phenomenal album. It still retains some of the quirkiness of Split Ends, but yet it lays the groundwork for where Crowded House was going to go on the subsequent albums. And even though Jim is frustrated because the lineup of the songs on CD as opposed to the cassette. Regardless, and they did re-release all 5 of the first albums in deluxe editions, 2 disc sets with a lot of demos and alternate takes. It's just absolutely wonderful. Absolutely 11 tracks on this master album, Crowded House.
Perfect. Don't Dream It's Over was massive when it came out. It was all over
Oh,
the
yeah.
place.
Mhm.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I need a cigarette just thinking about it right now.
Yeah, that's one
It
of those
was that
songs
it
that
was that big. It was that big. Yeah. It was
Oh,
good.
yeah.
It was good.
it's a song that's an automatic time travel back to the 80s in a wonderful way.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
Absolutely.
16 years old again when I hear that. I'm definitely that's a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen, believe me.
Well, this is a monster album, like a recent submission by you, Armando, Songs from the Big Chair. It
Yeah,
was just it was just a Godzilla size album.
yeah,
So
yeah. And you know, the thing is, how do you then the pressure becomes how do you come up with a follow-up,
Right.
right?
but they both did.
They
Yeah,
both
Yep.
did.
both
They
did.
both did. Yeah, yeah. All right, Jim, over to you.
Over to me. I kind of want to talk about Crowded House a bit more,
Go for it.
but I won't. I won't. Because we'll just go on and on and on.
That's another
Um,
episode.
yes, yes.
Maybe we'll talk
Um,
about that off camera.
maybe, or maybe we'll record more episodes. We can pick and choose
Yeah,
what we
No,
do with our
that's what
time
I was
here.
referring to, an idea for a show.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
see. Okay.
The light went on, ladies and gentlemen. He caught on. There we go.
Go. More sleep needed for me. Once again,
Okay.
I remain the laggard in time. I am still way at the other end of the 80s. I'm still stuck in 1982. And
Catch
this is
up.
another example of why I feel like I could have pulled 31 albums from 1982 and put them in a list. This is the debut solo album from someone who had been around for at least 10 years in his own little band called Steely Dan. And this is The Nightfly by Donald Fagen.
Yes.
Um, you know, there's just something inescapably wonderful about The Nightfly. It is it's a throwback to, Donald's upbringing and, in the 50s and the early 60s when he was, coming of age. And it's just kind of a love letter to that time, but yet it's very modernized just because of the production and the techniques used on the album. Um, the little crib note I have here is that modernized retro hipness never sounded so good. And to me, the Nightfly is not only, well, one of the reasons it's so perfect is that it just sounds so amazing. Gary Katz as the producer, Roger Nichols as the engineer, just Fagen's, you know, I don't even know how what the words escape me at the moment. He just has a sense of knowing exactly what he wants his songs to sound like, and he is going to pursue that to the end. Um, and I think that um, this album feels it doesn't feel like any Steely Dan album because of its throwback kind of nature. Um, it's got a lot of the trademark, Steely Dan isms in there. Things sound a little jazzy. You've got some amazing horn charts and guitar work. Um, the standout track for me on this album is New Frontier, which is Party in the Bomb Shelter, which has a really wacky video to go
Yeah.
with it. That's a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, the every time I think about the Nightfly, it, it's all right. But then I put it on again. I'm like, what was I thinking? It's just so beautifully written, performed, produced, it just it's a comfort album for me, I guess is a good way to describe it. But there were yet umpteen comfort albums for me that I left off because they weren't perfect. But I'm gonna stand on this hill till you knock me off, and then I'll climb back up and say, yeah, Donald Fagen's The Nightfly is another slice of perfection. So that's my day 22 choice.
Another one for me to check out.
Oh,
Really? You haven't heard The Nightfly?
wow.
I'm seeing it on
Oh.
Amazon and I'm seeing it in the stores and never checked it out.
Well, I didn't
Wow.
buy it when it first came out. It was one of those albums that I saw for $1.99 in the cutout bins. And at the
Wow.
time I thought, well, if it's in the cutout bin, it can't be very good. And somewhere along the line I picked it up and kind of slapped myself for waiting so long. And they did release a live version, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's very nice. That's very, very nice too. Um, oh yeah, and just the visualizations from this album, just unbelievable. And the harmonies in Maxine. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
good gosh.
Okay.
You know,
All right. I'm convinced. I'll check it out.
wait till the video is over. Didn't go.
Of course. There's
Boy.
priorities. There's priorities.
No, I remember when this came out, so it was 82, I was 17, and there weren't no internet back then, and what you heard about music was mostly coming through what was played on the radio, right? And I walked into the Warehouse Records or whatever our local record store was, and it was just sitting on one of the end caps, Donald Fagen, The Nightfly. And I had no idea that, um, I just recently kind of come to terms that Steely Dan was no more. And, as I was kind of going through that little period of mourning, just to walk in and out of the blue, see a brand new Donald Fagen record staring me in the face. I couldn't have been happier, and brought that home, played it, loved it, loved it, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, see, just that's a good choice. And just to add to what you were saying, I remember always being excited for Fridays because that was new release day. Like going to the record store and looking for a specific, keeping in, on top of what was coming out when going to the record store and like racing for the rack, for the new release on vinyl. Yes, we're talking vinyl, and CD eventually, but just having it in my hands, to be able to take it in my hands and go home and sit there and listen to it and look through the lyrics. That is something that is lost. It's never coming back, unfortunately. Maybe for some people it's coming back and it's on a smaller level, but there was nothing like that for me. And I couldn't get anyone around me to understand that. Right.
Mm.
But that was a different time, ladies and gentlemen. We must carry on. My pick for day 22. This was a shock to me. We are going to July 1992, an artist that was signed to Geffen Records. We are entering the world of Mr. Pat Metheny with Secret Story.
Yes.
Can we have just like a moment of silence? If I had a lighter right now, I'd light it. I swear to God. 76 minutes plus of sheer utter brilliance. This is listed as Latin music, as world music, as jazz fusion. This album has to be taken in as a whole. You cannot separate these tracks. You could try, but you would fail. I've described this album as it's one of those albums where it's a nice sunny morning like now, early in the day, like say 7 a.m. Sun's just about, coming out. You open the window, you let the warm breeze come in. You can smell, the smells of summer, fresh cut lawns. You can hear people getting into their cars, getting ready to go to work. Just the heat coming in from the window. This is that album. It just envelops you when you listen to it, when you start listening to it. Every song works. Above the Treetops, Facing West, Cathedral in the Suitcase, the 10-minute exquisite Finding and Believing, The Longest Summer, Sunlight, Rain River, Always and Forever, not the Luther Vandross version. See the World, As a Flower Blossoms. My God, Antonia, The Truth Will Always Be. Tell Her You Saw Me, and it ends off with Not to Be Forgotten. I've said to Jim on another episode, to me, every song is like you're in your car, you're driving for the day, doing whatever you have to do, and every song is like turning onto a different street or avenue, and every song is a different adventure. And you come home, you start with Above the Treetops. You get in your car, you turn on, start the engine, and the album comes to life with this song. You're driving along, every song is like, again, a different street. And then you come home with the track Not to Be Forgotten. You're at the end of your day, you've accomplished whatever you need to accomplish, and this is just a beautiful way to end the day and the beautiful way to end the album. It is bloody mother-loving poetry, and every track is worth your time and trouble. Put this on. Do not skip. Do not shuffle. Listen to this the way it was sequenced. You will be entranced. Okay? It is amazing. And I don't care how long it is. If you need to listen to this in sections, please do. But keep it in the order that it was sequenced. You will have an adventure. And that's it. That's my pick for day 22. I was going to say day 2, but day 22. Sorry.
This
You get
album,
no argument from me.
I saw
This
the look
album
on
is-
your face. Okay.
No.
this album is equivalent to a warm hug.
Yeah.
You know, when I take that weighted blanket and I just put it around myself and just lean back with my eyes closed, it warms you up in the coldest of winter. It's a great album.
Yeah. And I only discovered this album about a year and a half ago. And when I did, it was just like, what am I listening to? Like, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah. It's a really expansive record, like you were saying. Every song is kind of like a different street because every song just has a completely different sort of feel to it. It's not, you know, it's not standard, guitar, bass, piano, drums on every tune. There's all kinds of different flourishes and colors and timbres from all the added performers that he
Yeah.
has in there.
Different,
Including orchestra. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yes.
the fluidity of the album is just beautiful. And the different time signatures, it works. It works on every level. And
Yeah.
I mean, as much I was able to pick this up off of Amazon.ca for like $14.99. Originally, when I first started looking for it, the secondary sellers were asking for like $90, $100. I don't think so. When I found it for 14, I snapped it up. I thought, okay, I've got it. I finally got it. And it's Pat Metheny. We've said before that there are, artists that have their own that make their own genre. There's jazz fusion, and then there's Pat Metheny. So I mean, this is one of those albums that encompasses that idea so beautifully.
Yeah.
Take note,
You
Bill.
can't. Yes.
Yeah,
Take
I was
note.
going to say it. I do find it interesting that it kind of says something about the depth and breadth of an artist's catalog that there's been 2 Pat Metheny albums and they were 11 years apart on this list so far. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always cool when there's that big of a gulf between picks for the same artist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there are albums that, again, this is one of those albums, and then we'll close this out. This is one of those albums that, again, begs to be listened to from start to finish. This is not a soundbite album. This is not an album where you can just say pick track, listen to me talk, track 7 or track 4 and just play it on its own. You could, but you wouldn't get the same potency or the same meaningfulness with
Mhm.
it. Just listen to a solitary track. This begs to be listened to from start to finish, from track 1 to 14. I can't say anymore. I'm actually, for a big mouth like me, I'm speechless right now. I'm done. I mean, this is it for me. So for this episode. And again, guys, you can always stream these albums that we talked about on YouTube or whatever platform you use to listen to music. You be the judge. Be the judge. Any other comments or opinions or?
That's perfect.
All right, guys. Again, we really do appreciate you tuning in and coming with us on this journey. We've gone down so many streets and different avenues and twists and turns and flips, and from ass shaking to world music and all and back home again. So for Bill, Ken, and Jim, I'm Armando saying please have a good day and look after yourselves and one another. We will see you soon for episode 23 of 31 Perfect Albums. Have a good day. Bye for now.